Hello and welcome to Speedcar, and of course it is the Grand Racing weekend and the second Grand Racing weekend in the championship, round 2 here in Indonesia. Well, it's been an exciting morning thus far. I'm Alex Capper-Murdoch, and of course joining me today is Des Cargill. It was great qualifying, wasn't it?
It was fantastic fun to watch. I'm not so sure about the driving though. The rain and the interchangeable conditions made the qualifying an absolute nightmare for the drivers. In the end, they all got through. There were no major accidents, but the changeability was very difficult to cope with.
Yeah, it certainly was. And of course, circuit conditions, as you said, really quite treacherous even, but that of course is Indonesia, and this is the weather here. The weather forecast for today, incidentally, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity now gone up to 86%, mostly cloudy, 98% chance of rain, and I would say 2% is definitely not right, is it? It has rained, it has poured, it has been sunny, it has been wet, it has been dry, everything in a short space of time.
One thing I would say though is it is clearing up just ahead of this main feature race. It is beginning to clear up. It's still a bit grey and murky, but although the humidity is high, there isn't that hint of rain anymore, so I think it might dry up this afternoon.
Yeah, it certainly looks as though it is drying, and plenty of spectators here in the grandstands, 2 covered grandstands here at the circuit. Of course, the circuit is Sentul in Indonesia. The circuit very well known for A1GP, Asian Formula 3, Formula BMW Asia, and of course Formula V6 Asia. It's a clockwise run circuit, 4.12 kilometres long, that's just over 2.5 miles, width of 15 metres around most of the track, 11 corners and the longest straight of 900 metres. Now that means that we should see a lot of overtaking. Now it's an FIA...
Ananda Mikola, you're first in your first race for points at your home track. How do you feel?
I feel it's really proud to be pole, and then so I hope I can be finishing at the same position like I start. So fingers crossed it's nothing happen with the cars.
So the home advantage is paying off?
We'll see. Cannot say it.
Thank you. Back to Alex.
So there we go, Ananda Mikola, one of the 2 local drivers, of course, from Indonesia himself and his brother as well, and on pole position.
Yeah, he set the time early, and then the rain came down, and he stayed there, and it's a tremendous result for Indonesia and Indonesian motorsport. So let's hope for Indonesia and the development of motorsport in this part of the world that he can actually continue that success on the track.
Yeah, it'll certainly be good to see continuation. There we go, over Ausen, and he had...
Uwe Alsen, it's a very big surprise seeing you on second position after the practicing.
Yeah, the weekend was starting very bad. We had so many problems in the free practice. We was I think the last of the field. We had so many problems with the car, especially with the tires. But the qualifying was not bad in the rain. Now we are on the second position in the first row. Everything is open. I try hard for sure, but you must see that you come over the distance and finish maybe on the podium to get the points.
Good luck for the race, and back to you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Tom. So there we go. Tom, our roving reporter in the pit lane, covering everything that happens. And if you missed the first 2 races, which were held in the United Arab Emirates at Dubai Autodrome, then you don't know what you're missing. This is Speedcar, and it's certainly a championship of the future. Matthias Leider there, and the number 21 Kier, he is 3rd on the grid.
It's an entertaining, a true entertainment, because these cars are difficult to handle, and you've got a mixture of kids, and you've got a mixture of very experienced drivers, and the setting up of the car is not easy to manage. And you've seen these fellas slip and slide all over the track this morning. It's tremendously difficult, which makes it entertaining.
It certainly does make it entertaining, and probably the most entertaining form of motorsport out there. If you don't know anything and you want to get into it, then this is the one to watch. Let's have a look at some of the drivers that are in there. I'm sure you'll have heard them. Stefan Johansson, he's in the number 7 car from Sweden, 52 years of age, not the oldest driver that we have here. He's the British F3 champion back in 1980 and then moved into F2 before a full-time seat became available in Formula 1 in 1983. He actually replaced René Arnaud in Ferrari when he was sacked. I don't know whether you can remember that great the footage of Ayrton Senna and René Arnaud at Magny-Cours all those years ago.
This looks like the pole position, and it's the guy we've just spoken to.
Certainly is, Ananda Mikala.
He and his brother, 2 Indonesian track stars, hopefully, of the future. My Indonesia needs a track star because football is such a dominant sport that motorsport needs a superstar to really take it to the next level. Certainly
is, and as you were saying, there are plenty of opportunities here, and those opportunities being picked up, of course, by Ananda. Ananda, the one of 2 Indonesian drivers here, along with his brother, 23 years of age. He was the Indonesian karting champion back in 1984 before moving into Formula Asia, and Italian F3 championship in 1997. 99 he moved to F3000, which of course now has become the GP2 Series Championship, and then he did European F3000 and the World Series Lights in 2003. Asia F3 champion in 2005, and of course best known for A1.
30 seconds to the green light.
So there we go. In front of us on our right-hand side, Ananda Mikala, Uwe Alsen on the left. Well, which is the better line to take? It's a long straight before you come into turn 1. And of course, turn 1 being a sharp right-hander with a short straight to the left-hand link. So as we say, let's see how much they scrub these tyres and get the speed in. There we go. Ananda Mikala following the pace car. And that is Speedcar.
The rolling start, getting the timing absolutely spot on is the key to that. And that gives the pole setter a little bit of an advantage to dictate the pace coming into the rolling start.
It actually can be a disadvantage because for them to be given the green flag to say go, they may not do 1 lap, they may do a couple of laps. It depends whether the officials think that they're close enough together. So they can't just pull away. They have to, it's up to the pole position driver to keep everybody in tune. It's up to each driver individually to keep close to the other so that they get the best start. Of course, a rolling start, very different from the starts that we see in something like Formula 1.
Quick rundown. In pole, Mikala. Alongside him, Alsen, Lauda and Morbidelli on the second row. Johnny Herbert and Stefan Johansson behind them. Ludwig and Alesi, Giroux and Navarro on the fifth row. Derrien and Soprato, Katayama and Al Maktoum completing the 14 races.
There we go. You can see there's a lot of local media interest here. And of course there would be 2 local drivers from Indonesia. One of them, Ananda Mikala, on pole position. So there we go. Just go around the circuit as it is. Remember, these cars with 4 gears, and they're on board with Jean Alesi. So once again, you can see, we'll come round, we'll go straight from the start down to a sharp right into turn 2, which is a left kink, through into sector 2, which picks up the timing as part of the timing loop. It's a right for turn 3, a sharp right in turn 4, a left kink for 5, and then it's the right into the hard left of 6 and 7, into sector 3, right into 8, left into 9, and then it's the double apex right-hander of 10 and 11 before that final right turn, and a main straight of 900 meters takes you back to the start-finish line.
Rolling start.
So what we do is we keep an eye out for that pace car, and it has pulled in. So as all the cars get together, staying down on the left-hand side, coming towards the start-finish, you can see the lights are still at red, and when we see that checkered flag, it is go for Speedcar. Round race 2, round number 2. And of course, it is Uwe Augustsson down on the inside into turn 1. And that is the 69 car of Johnny Herbert. He's just gone onto the outside, been pushed back, tucked back on in the inside. And here we are with the first 2 leaders. That's a very wide run by Augustsson.
Mikkola has gone into the lead. He's regained his position, and Augustsson has dropped right back to the back, and now there has been a touch on the back of car number 10.
So this is exactly what we saw at Dubai Autodrome. There we have Stefan Johansson out in front. It is Ananda Mikkola. Gianni Morbidelli, he got touched. Uwe Augustsson out on the first car. Uwe Augustsson now at the back beside Sheikh Hasher Al Maktoum. It is a great lead by Ananda Mikkola as they come round into the left-hand turn. We'll see what happens.
John Alesi trying to put the pressure on, but early on the pace is being set by Mikkola, who is pulling away, and we have seen
Morbidelli is out. Morbidelli, unless he can get that car out of that gravel trap, he is not completing this first race. Look at these cars everywhere. Is that Uwe Augustsson again? It may be, but look at Ananda Mikkola. Ananda Mikkola pulling away from the rest of the pack. Look at Nicholas Navarro. We saw him at Dubai Autodrome. He was up there. Johnny Herbert now making a play, pushing the car in front of him. It is a great lap 1 from the Speedcar race.
So it's Mikkola leading, Johansson up into second, Ludwig third, Johnny Herbert 4th, Lauda 5th, Giroir 6th, Alesi 7th, Navarro in 8th, and we are into lap number 2 on board with Johnny Herbert.
We certainly had on board with Johnny Herbert now as he comes down to the left-hander. Remember, only 4 gears in these cars, so not a lot of gear changing. That's really wide. Is that Ludwig? It certainly is. Now, did you see that from Ananda Mikkola at the front? He just braking very hard. Now, there we go. There's David Tyrion fighting past Gianni Morbidelli. And Ananda Mikkola really pushing now, and he's really caught the lead. Now keep an eye on Johnny Herbert. He's down the inside. That's Ludwig on the outside. It's the ACI Legends car. What happens with Johnny Herbert? He's got more experience, but of course the touring car driver as we know it is of course Ludwig. Now that is a lot of smoke. Could that be some damage on the car that is actually pushing against the tyres? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Look at the way that these cars pitch and yaw. They're very high off the ground. They don't have a lot of downforce. It makes for this kind of exciting racing.
The safety car is out on the circuit.
So there we go. We'll see what happens. 69 car. There we go. Safety car. So the safety car is out. Well spotted. And of course, Nicholas Navarro. David Tyrion not slowing down. Yellow flags. Now they have to slow down. What does this mean? This means Ananda Mikkola will now not have that clear advantage that he's had for the first 2 laps. So once again, the safety car is out. Now, that is probably to help with the situation with Gianni Morbidelli. Let's have a look and see if we can have a look once again to see what happened at the beginning. It was a very exciting race.
Mikkola seems to lose it early on. It's a great start by Uwe Augustsson, who takes the first corner.
Johnny
Behind
Herbert
him,
tapping the front end. In fact, Johnny Herbert always getting in the middle of something or other on this circuit, isn't he?
he's kind of holding up Matthias Lauda. At the front, though, Mikkola has retaken that left turn from Uwe Augustsson. Tremendous start from the young Indonesian, and Augustsson has gone wide. Not the first time that's happened today, and he does it again a bit later on as well.
Yeah, and you can see Gianni Morbidelli there up into second. Now, he was tapped from the side. That was Stefan Johansson, wasn't it? No, it wasn't Stefan Johansson. It was actually the ACI car, or the second ACI car, so not good for him. In fact, I'm not entirely sure if it wasn't Klaus. It was Klaus Ludwig. Klaus Ludwig actually took Gianni off, but they certainly had a coming together. There we go. Back to the situation as it is now. It's a dry circuit, it's a dry track, and it's certainly dry in the air. Won't be dry in each of those cars though, will it?
It's a very, very different circumstance from the qualifying this morning. This is Morbidelli, the man who won twice in Dubai and is now knocked out in the opening lap here in Indonesia. The fickleness of Speedcar.
Yep, that is very, very disappointing. Look at the damage to the rear end of that car. Doesn't make a lot of difference though, because of course the cage that they're built with, the chassis, is a very solid chassis, and it actually sits quite far within the bodywork. So inside the bodywork it sits quite far in, so it's not really anything major. Now the point is, will they be able to get this car smoking in the pit lane? Don't know whether it's really acceptable, but there we go. That's the team manager of ACI. Stefan Johansson just at the front of your picture, followed by Lauda, followed by Johnny Herbert, Jean Alesi. There we go, Nicholas Navarro, who was doing so well in the last turn. You can see the damage to the front of Ludwig's car. Terrier not doing as well as he expected this weekend. And once again, let's run down the top 10.
Mikkola leads, Johansson second, Matthias Lauda, the Austrian third, Johnny Herbert in fourth as the safety car is still on. Beyond that, you've got Alesi in fifth, Navarro sixth, Ludwig, who was responsible for knocking out Morbidelli, he's seventh, and Giroir eighth, David Terrier ninth, and this is going to take a little while to pull the car of Morbidelli out. I'll run through Uwe Alsen, who's had a very interesting race already. He led for a few moments but is now back in 10th place, having twice gone off the track. The Dubai Al Maktoum is 11th, followed by Soprato and Katayama, who brings up the rear.
Yeah, disappointing for Katayama, but as we saw in races 1 and 2 in the UAE just a couple of weeks ago, anything can happen. This is Speedcar, and that's what it's all about. Johnny Herbert once again weaving there, all of them trying to keep the heat into their tyres, apart from David Tyrion, who comes into the picture now. David Tyrion, based at Dubai, actually training Sheikh Hasher Al Maktoum, who you can see a couple of cars behind him. There is Gianni Morbidelli. Now, will that affect the way that he runs? Will he be allowed to continue? Will race control say yes, or will they bring him back into pits? We'll have to wait and see.
Morbidelli's moving well enough. We're still waiting for the official message.
He certainly doesn't seem to have any problems, does he? Let's wait and see if he goes into the pits or not. The car seems to be handling quite well. A little bit of damage, but let's face it, this is Morbidelli. He's used to it.
A reminder, Mikkola will lead once we get the green light to go once again and the safety car goes away. Stefan Johansson behind him, Matthias Lauda in third, Johnny Herbert and Jean Alesi just behind them. That's Navarro, who's in seventh.
So damage to a number of the cars, and a number of those cars of course being Uwe Alsen, who had his first off on the first turn, and then Morbidelli, who has quite extensive rear end damage. He's into the pits now. Will he get checked and go straight back out again? And what's happening with the speed car? We'll keep an eye out and let you know as soon as we do.
It's significant amount of damage. That was where he took the... It was kind of a little shove off from Klaus Ludwig.
Yeah, there we go. Matthias round the outside. Ananda Mikolai on the inside, going towards the turn. That is Jean Alesi.
Alesi has the lead. Lauda second, Johansson third. Mikkola has dropped back into fourth, and Johnny Herbert in fifth. It's Jean Alesi. Now, can he hold on under pressure from Lauda? Alesi has a little bit of leeway as he comes down this main straight.
Now this is very interesting. Jean Alesi leading, Matthias Lauda second, Stefan Johansson's just keeping it into third. And we have on the outside, 2 places down, of course, Johnny Herbert. He had a little bit of an incident just 1 lap ago. Then there's a bit of a gap. Then we go down to Alsen, Ludwig, David Terrien before another gap. And there, once again, we see Ananda Mikkola. What happened? He just lost control of that car, spun on the inside, and once again across the front of the rest of the field. Now look at that, Stefan Johansson. Will he be allowed to continue? That's pretty dangerous, I'd say.
He's done well though, has Mikkola going back to that spin. He's retaining 4th place. Alesi leads. Oh, there's a lot of damage there on car 17, Fabien Giroir.
So Fabien suffering from a puncture. Once again, Ananda looking at Stefan Johansson. There's Fabien in the front. He's still pushing. He is still driving that car. the way he wants to drive it. He has got to come in now. He's got to come in. Look at the debris and the dust across the circuit. This is Speedcar, and this is exactly what we saw just a couple of weeks ago. Let's keep an eye. Will Fabian come in? There's debris starting to dissipate all over the circuit. He runs to the outside, letting the cars on the inside. Matthias Lauda there. There's Johnny Herbert. Less damage than normal to Mr. Herbert's car, which is nice to see.
Mikkola was the man who forced Johansson off. In the meantime, though, at the front, Jean Alesi. Just ahead of him is Lauda, and at last Fabien Giroir comes in to the pits.
So Fabian coming in with a lot of damage to that car. He's pointing to the front tyre. He wants it changed. He wants to go back out. So there we go. That is from Collision, who is going to come out. There, his team, they've come out to help him. Look at that. He's been running on the rim. That is a one-pump jack. Will they manage to get that car up quickly? He wants to go back out. Look at the way that that bonnet is bent. So there we go. Up he comes. And
this is the incident. Running alongside, you've got Navarro. Just clips the back of him, does Giroir. Both hit the gravel, but Giroir, that's a remarkable recovery to get into the pits.
It certainly is. He ran the rest of those 7 turns round the circuit to get back into the pit lane. And of course, with Speedcar, anything can happen. It doesn't matter how many laps you are down. And here we are seeing car number 36. Of course, Soprato, he's moving out the way. He's a couple of laps down. He's already come in. And he obviously wants to help his brother. Look at the damage to most of these cars.
And the front, just going past us, was Alesi and Lauda. This is the battle for third between Mikkola and Johnny Herbert, number 69 in fourth. At the front, though, it is Jean Alesi ahead of Matthias Lauda.
So as they cross the start-finish, so it is John Alesi followed by Matthias Lauda, and Ananda Mikkola doing well to keep up to third. Johnny Herbert in fourth. Alson now in fifth. David Terrien moves up to sixth. Ludwig in seventh. Sheikh Hasha Al Maktoum now up to eighth. Stefan Johansson down to ninth. Katayama in 10th. Navarro in 11th. And of course Giroir in the pits. Is that him coming out? It looks as though it was.
Stefan Johansson still labouring on. He's been in the wars in this particular race, but he's still chasing through. At the moment, he's in 9th position. He ain't going to give this one up. And is that Navarro back? But Alesi, it leads Lauda. Mikkola 3, Johnny Herbert 4, ahead of Alson, Terrien, Ludwig 7, Hasha Al Maktoum in 8th.
And that, of course, is Katayama running wide on turn 7, going into turn 8. Stefan Johansson's car, much of a mess. And there we go, Soprato. Let's see what he has to say.
Moreno, can you tell us why you're retiring?
Yeah, still we have big problem with the electric, I think, because in the 5,000 RPM the engine's not, it's really slow. Something wrong with the car.
Okay, I guess now you're supporting for your brother then?
Sorry?
Go back to Alex, please.
There we go. That's Soprato. He's now supporting his brother, saying that, of course, having problems with the electrics on their car, cutting out 5,000 revs, supposed to be up to 8,500 before they change gear. So that's a shame for him, but at least from the sidelines, he can watch his brother and hope that Ananda Mikkola moves from third to first.
We're on to lap 12, and Jean Alesi still holds the lead. Matthias Lauda second, Mikkola third, Johnny Herbert fourth, Alson 5 and Terrien 6, and Morbidelli is back. Not exactly in contention, he's in 13th place, but he is back and a couple of laps down.
I'm keeping an eye out on Johnny Herbert myself personally. Remember, he didn't have a great double header at the Dubai Grand Racing weekend, but he looks as though he keeps having a look, as does Sheikh Hasha Al Maktoum. He's gone to the inside, he's pushed Klaus Ludwig on the outside. Sheikh Hasha Al Maktoum losing it, losing the backhand. Can he bring it right round? He has done, but is there damage to that car? Keep the car going, Hasher. We know you can do it. There we can see Navarro in the background, the all-yellow car. Katayama just moving out the outside, and there is Fabian once again.
Hasha Al Maktoum looks like he needs a pit stop. Similar damage. And he's running on the rim as well, which is a common theme throughout this race. In the meantime, though, Jean Alesi sails on happily at the front of the race.
So it is Jean Alesi, followed by Matthias Lauda, Ananda Mikkola in third. Holding on to fourth, Johnny Herbert with Uwe Angsen in fifth. David Thierry now up to sixth. Klaus Ludwig in seventh. That means Sheikh Hashem Al Maktoum moved all the way down the field because Johansson's in front of him. Navarro is now in ninth position, meaning Katayama's in 10th. Now, depending what happens with the number 85 speed car, of course, Sheikh Hashem Al Maktoum, then there will be a battle at the back of the grid. Of course, Fabian, he's been in. Gianni Morbidelli, he's been in. They're back out. They're a couple of laps down. So one retirement thus far. That retirement, of course, is Rino Soprato.
And
so
this is
Sheikh Hashem.
Maktoum. We'll have a look to see if he's forced to become the second retirement. This is the incident, and once again it's Ludwig who's the other protagonist. He's had a rather interesting race as well, being involved in a couple of incidents, but this one means Hasha Al Maktoum is now in the pits.
It certainly is. And looking at that incident once again, it looks as though he actually held the right line. He was actually holding the race line, and it looks as though Klaus just got in the way or didn't see Hasher on the inside there. So disappointment for Sheikh Hasher Al Maktoum. Klaus Ludwig still on the circuit, as are these three. Nicholas Navarro with a lot of damage to the outside. Stefan Johansson, and with even more damage. In fact, is there a speed car out there with no damage?
Don't think there is. Johansson, this is a race for 8th place between Johansson, Navarro in the yellow, and Katayama just behind them. This is the race for 7th, and behind them we have Giroux, who's still going, but onto lap 14 at the front. Alesi still leads ahead of Lauda and Mikkola.
And look how late each of these drivers are braking going into the turn. And of course, late braking, lots of weight onto the front. Stefan Johansson does it well. Watch this, Nicholas Navarro on the inside. He's braked a little too late. Can Stefan Johansson get down the inside? It's the double apex once again. He's not managed to do it. Nicholas Navarro now leading that pack of three. It is, of course, Navarro in 8th.
And,
with Katayama in 9th.
Underneath Johansson's
and Johansson
left front wing, there is some shrapnel. That might be causing him a problem, but the whole car looks dreadfully beaten up. He's been involved in so many incidents.
I'm actually surprised he's not been told to come in with the damage to that car, because of course if there is debris being put all over the circuit, which there looks to be, then really that car needs to be brought in, plastered together and sent back out again.
This is our leader, Jean Alesi. Behind him, Matthias Lauda, Ananda Mikkola, Johnny Herbert in 4, Alsen 5, Terrien in the red and white in 6th, and then going beyond then you have Ludwig and Johansson. That number 10 going through there was Morbidelli, who's a couple of laps down, and then we have the ragged looking, the ones that have been in all the incidents, most importantly Stefan Johansson, and he's in another cracking little duel with Katayama.
Yeah, Katayama just trying to reel in Stefan Johansson. Let's have a look once again. There is Katayama braking very late, running wide, so that means he was actually catching Stefan Johansson. Stefan Johansson defending his line very well, considering he's going to be having a lot of problems driving that car, not only due to the setup, but the extra restrictions with everything that's going on with that bodywork. So Stefan Johansson still out in front of Katayama. Behind Katayama it is Fabian. Fabian doing well after his incident in the lead just a couple of laps ago, and pulling away from that group now it is Nicholas Navarro.
We are on to lap 15. This is the tail end. Soprato is out, Morbidelli is at the tail, but at the front we have Alesi, Lauda and Mikkola. Now this is one of the many Johansson incidents, and it's Mikkola going through him as if he shouldn't be there.
It certainly is. This, as I keep saying, is Speedcar, and this is exactly what we've been waiting for. I cannot wait till tomorrow's race, and I just don't want this one to be over. So once again, the 27 car of Jean Alesi pulling out in the lead, followed by Matthias Lauda, and Mikola really hoping to regain that advantage, but it's not looking good. He's got Johnny Herbert on his tail. Uwe Auksen still out there, surprisingly, after his practice and qualifying this morning. There we go, Jean Alesi in the lead.
Coming through, this is Johansson going wide. So much debris, so many incidents. It's not surprising that he's beginning to struggle, but Johansson is still travelling through the gravel and still on the track.
He's loving it, isn't he? He's also got this amazing ability to kind of relax in any sort of situation, and that's probably what he's doing, having fun, enjoying the race, trying to relax into it and just trying to grab back some of what he's lost. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. That in the lead is Stefan Johansson. That is David Tyrion round the outside, losing the back end just a little bit. I think he's disappointed this weekend. He was hoping for a good race and not exactly what he was looking for.
It's a good race for fifth, this one. You've got Alsen trying to reclaim fifth, but David Terion has gone too wide, and Alsen, has he got through on the inside? Tremendous racing from Uwe Alsen, and he's got past David Terion to reclaim fifth position.
He's certainly carrying the speed down the main straight, but will David Tyrion do one of his ultimate manoeuvres? Of course, late braking and lots of power going into that turn. I reckon David Tyrion will be on his tail till the end of the race, if not in front.
3 laps to go. We are on lap 17. For the moment, we're concentrating on the race for fifth place. Out in front, I can tell you, Jean Alesi has a comfortable lead from Matthias Lauda, but this is the battle for fifth place between the number 8 of Uwe Alsen and the number 20 of David Terion.
So there we go. Still the quickest lap of this 20-lap race was Ananda Mikola, and that was right at the beginning on lap 2, 132.316. Of course, the leading lap at the moment, 133.262, Jean Alesi. And there we go, Uwe down the inside.
Remarkably, we've only had one retirement so far, that's Suprato. This is the race for fifth, Alsen versus Terion. Alsen in a Terion 20. At the front end, Alesi, Lauda, Mikola and Herbert seem to have just going into the distance. You can see them. That's Mikola and Herbert. They fill the first 4 places, and this is a cracking race for fifth.
It certainly is. David Tyrion still on the tail. He's on the inside of Uwe now. Brakes late. Does he manage to do it? Can he pull the speed out of that corner? He hasn't done yet. Can he tuck down the inside on the second? He can't do it once again. Uwe Auksen is defending exceptionally well.
Tremendous speed car racing, a tremendous defensive is line from Uwe Alsen. Ahead of him, Alesi, Lauda, Mikola, Johnny Herbert. Behind them, Navarro and Ludwig. We're going to continue concentrating on the race for fifth because it promises to be explosive.
It certainly does. Once again, David Tyrion having a look to the inside. Will he do his normal late braking manoeuvre? Just look at the pressure on that windscreen as they get the higher speeds. Now, look at that. That is Uwe Auksen. He has made a mistake. He has run on the inside. Will he allow David Tyrion to overtake him? He should do. Otherwise, that's an advantage. Wonder if we can have another look at that again. So he has actually let David Terion, the number 20 Union Properties car, through. Why? Because he took an advantage as he cut to the inside line across the grass.
Here's the mistake coming up from Uwe Alsen. We'll show you in just a sec, but at the moment Terion is at 5. Alsen is at 6. Ahead of them, Alesi is now on to lap 19. Ahead of Matthias Lauda. Mikola is 3rd. The Indonesian, the local hero. Can he hold on to that top 3? Johnny Herbert 4, and this is the race for 5th continues. Terion 5, Alsen 6th.
So there we go once again. Can Terion keep hold of it? He should be able to do it now. He's good at his late braking. He's good at getting the power on early. And Uwe Aitsen suffering from difficulties earlier. Well, it looks as though David is managing to pull away. Uwe Aitsen keeps making small mistakes. He's running wide on each corner. That is going to cost him. There is the leader, Jean Alesi, the number 27 Speedcar. And that is hopefully what we'll see in just a couple of laps' time. So it is.
Jean Alesi leading. Matthias Lauda second, Mikkola third, Johnny Herbert fourth. And as you can see, it's a bit of a procession now, although is there... Oh no, that's Matthias Lauda going past a tail ender. These are the top four. Alesi leading, and comfortably so. And I think thoroughly enjoying his afternoon's work in Indonesia.
Certainly is. Look at the way that he throws this car around, braking down to second gear. Only 4 gears in these cars. Nice wide line using the entire width of the circuit, getting the power on early. There we go, using all of the circuit, including the rumble strips, and just managing to get the power all the way to the top along that main straight, 900 meters before sharp braking, and once again to the right.
Matthias Lauda comfortably in second. This is Morbidelli and Alsen in sixth. Morbidelli is a lap down. He's actually officially in 13th place. Alsen goes onto his tail. Morbidelli, who won both legs in Dubai, he's going to finish 13th in this first race here.
But of course this is where the fun happens. Of course Morbidelli will not. This is once again, this is David Thierrien in front. Eisen just making yet another mistake, running wide. He spun. So there we go. Spinner over Eisen. That is why Morbidelli's in front of him, although he's not officially in front of him on the laps, because of course Morbidelli is a couple of laps down. Now that won't stop him from competing. Remember, these guys love their racing. They don't care what's going on. They want to race, whether they're 10 laps down or 2 laps down. Morbidelli is still going to defend that line.
Jean Alesi leading the way. Oh, Katayama's at last hit the gravel, and he ain't going to get out of that one. Jean Alesi, meantime, continues and has extended his lead quite considerably.
So there we go. I don't think Katayama's going to be very happy. I don't think he's going to be thinking at last. But there we go. In the background, looks as though David Thierrien's got a problem. That, of course, is Ugo Katayama. Now, are the yellow flags out? What happened to him? He locked up on the front inside tyre. Understeer straight on, and nothing he can do.
So Katayama is out, Suprato is out. Alesi leads from Lauda, Herbert, Mikkola and Thierrien. This is Matthias Lauda, the Austrian. It's rather settled down after the mayhem of the earlier laps.
Well, as we saw at Dubai Autodrome just a couple of weeks ago, anything can happen. Nicolas Navarro was leading until 2 laps from the end. Of course, he had a blowout, severe puncture. You can see there's debris on the circuit. Jean Alesi still in the front. Out in the lead, Matthias Lauda second. Johnny Herbert there in third. He looks as though he's taking it relatively easy, considering he was pushing hard just a couple of laps ago.
And Mikkola comes round the corner now. He has slowed down dramatically in the last lap or so. Herbert just floated past him, and that is why Mikkola has slowed down. He has a front right puncture.
Now that is not good news for him. A disaster to what started out as a fantastic race for the local Indonesian driver, Ananda Mikkola. And of course, nothing he can do. Such a shame for both him and also his brother, Rino, who retired earlier on with
now both Alsen and
problems.
Navarro have gone past Mikkola, which begs the question, where is David Thierrien?
He's in fourth. David Thierrien in fourth. So Alesi, Jean Alesi first, Matthias Lauda second, Johnny Herbert in third, David Thierrien in fourth. There we see Navarro.
Morbidelli holding his line. even though he's a lap down, under pressure from Navarro. And also under pressure from Alsen.
Okay, so there we can see Gianni Morbidelli. Remember, he's a couple of laps down, still defending his line from Uwe Audsen, and of course missing the back end of his car. That is racing. A lot of damage also to Nicolas Navarro's car. In fact, as we said earlier, damage to, I think, every single car. So there we go. Did Morbidelli let Audsen through? I don't think so. So now he has Nicolas Navarro on his tail. It runs wide off the side. There is Stefan Johansson.
He's had a busy afternoon. We've seen plenty of evidence that this might be the way that his race ends. All kinds of debris, front right flat, and he'll just try and hobble his way back into the pit lane. But that is a car that's been in a lot of trouble.
It certainly is, and that was bound to happen. The unfortunate thing about this, as the tyre wall completely comes off of the tyre, means that debris is all over the circuit, and he's still trying to carry on. This man doesn't want to give up. Stefan Johansson is not giving up. He is continuing. It doesn't matter how much of that tyre leaves his car onto the circuit.
I think he's enjoying his time out in the limelight. In the meantime, though, Jean Alesi still leads the way. Lauda second, and this is Johansson, who officially is in 8th position, but he won't be for long because he can't drive anymore.
Can't drive and only has quarter of his car left. But there we go. As we keep saying, it is Speedcar, the enormous V8, part of the Grand Racing weekend. The sparks coming off that car, that is so much fun to see. Stefan Johansson coming round. So 2 laps from the end, coming across the start-finish line to start his final lap as he passes very unfortunate Stefan Johansson. It is, of course, Jean Alesi.
And behind him is Matthias Lauda. Into 3rd place, Johnny Herbert. It'll take something remarkable to change this order. David Terrien holding on to 4th. Uwe Audsen 5th, and Navarro up into 6th, but Jean Alesi, well, it's kind of a tribute lap. It's a lap of honour, a lap before it should be.
Yeah, so let's follow Jean Alesi round on his final lap, what hopes to be his winning lap for race 3 of the Speedcar Series Championship. And of course, looking at all the debris left on the track, debris left by not 1 or 2 cars and drivers, but the entire field. 14 cars started out on the circuit, on the grid. Now we're down to 11, which isn't bad going, considering this is a 20-lap race, and there's an awful lot of overtaking and, of course, pushing. So as we watch Jean Alesi coming round on the left-right, through the left, running wide, coming down towards his braking point. Katayama in front of him. He's no threat. Remember, he's laps down behind Jean Alesi. There we go. Goes round that tight right-hander. And on the outside, towards the checkered flag, it is Jean Alesi on the outside. Katayama, no weight on the inside.
Well, we were expecting a flag, but there is no flag there. We're on a timing mechanism at the moment. Apologies. But Jean Alesi, he still has to continue without the checkered flag, I think, that we were all expecting. So Jean Alesi still holds top place. Matthias Lauda. Johnny Herbert, 3rd. David Terrien in 4th. Herbert, like another one in the wars, but Jean Alesi.
So this is interesting. I wonder whether they added the laps from the safety car. Of course, some of the championships can change depending on their structure and the way that they're formed. So there we see Jean Alesi still out in the lead, probably wondering himself how many more laps he has to complete to win this race. There we go, Matthias Lauda in second in the 21 numbered Speedcar. And not a chance, I would say, unless something goes wrong for Jean Alesi to catch up there. And then, of course, Johnny Herbert in third. Still some damage.
Lauda's there. Alesi comes through the start-finish line once again, and this we make it to be lap number 26.
Well,
Herbert in third. Terrien will cross the line into fourth.
I'm looking down the pit lane, and Matthias Lauda's team seem to think they're on the last lap. So there is Matthias Lauda. There is Jean Alesi, that's the leader. Pulling away, and this should be his final lap once again as he comes round the last few turns. No damage, or relative light damage to his car.
He looks great, doesn't he? He looks untouched, which is one of the few in the field that have managed to remain untouched.
Well, not quite untouched, but certainly one of the better cars out there for race 3 as he comes down towards that double apex hairpin. And Indonesia on the front of the car, the famous 27 car, comes round the final turn. It is Jean Alesi takes the checkered flag for race 3 of the Speedcar Championship. Jean Alesi followed by Matthias Lauda. Race winner Jean Alesi, 45 minutes and 48 seconds.
Third place coming through is Johnny Herbert. David Terrien will be fourth. This is Terrien into the final straight. That's a good fourth for David Terrien. He was in a cracking little battle with Uwe Alsen. And Alsen, that's a good race between Alsen and Navarro. This is a genuine race to the line. It's the race for 5th and 6th. It's won by Uwe Alsen. Navarro is in 6th, but your race leader, your race winner is Jean Alesi.
And here we go. Onto the podium in third position, that's number 69 car of Britain, Johnny Herbert.
And the second place winner.
And they're a very proud young man, Matthias Lauda, in the 21 car, taking his position in second. Just congratulating Johnny Herbert. It's the HCI overalls, and last but certainly not least, taking the race win today, of course, in race 3 of 10. It is, of course, Jean Alesi. Congratulations and well done to the 3 drivers. I've won this. Now,
ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem.
Now we pray silence for the national anthem of the winning driver. So
Oke, tepuk tangan yang meriah kembali hadirin.
there we go once
Dan kali ini
again.
akan berkenan menyerahkan
Your
untuk
three
para pemenang
drivers
ini
on the
adalah
podium
Direktur
today.
Utama
In third place, the number 69 Speedcar, of course. There we go, Johnny Herbert. And his trophy is being presented by the President Director, Trans TV, and of course, Trans 7. And what a nice trophy it is. Looking to second place once again. See, I'm telling you. And in second place, of course, was Matthias Lauda. And in first place, of course, the infamous man from France, Jean Alesi.